Stone Cold, the Hellraiser is back!
Here we go! Evolution of the Shield!
John Cena versus the Showstopper!
Hulk Hogan and The Rock in the same ring!
You will never take my place at the head of the table!
Undertaker! On the Hell's Gate submission! Oh my God! What?
My God, Michaels! Just kick Cena's head off!
The Monday Night Wars have come to WrestleMania!
It'll be The Rock! It'll be Austin one-on-one!
Third and five to the Undertaker!
Do you believe in miracles?
The streak is over!
Hey, what's going on, guys? And welcome back to WWE Retro on the WWE podcast on this February 2nd as we are officially on the road to WrestleMania. I'm sure you guys got a overload of Royal Rumble content this past week, and that's one thing I want to get off the top here is, as you may have realized, I did not drop a retro last week, and Matt and I kind of discussed this, and we have decided going forward that on pay-per-view weeks I will not be dropping a retro show because we usually have an excess of content on pay-per-view weeks, primarily the preview shows that typically do drop on Fridays, which is when my shows do typically drop, sometimes early Saturdays, and we usually have a extra long review show for the week, which also coincides with covering whichever pay-per-view is happening. So going forward, if there is a pay-per-view, my show will not be dropping. But as always, you can catch me every Monday with Matt on the current state of WWE. And so with that being said, let's get into it. And we are going back to the year 2006 to cover Big Show's run as ECW champion. So this is a pretty significant run for the Big Show, and in a lot of ways you can make the case it was the best run of his career. Now, I think a lot of people would say that his best run came maybe as the World Heavyweight Champion in 2012 during his feud with Sheamus, a very underrated feud and rivalry that I think was one of their matches was considered best of the year back in 2012. And of course, you had his run in WCW, you had his run on SmackDown in the early 2000s, kind of going toe-to-toe with Brock Lesnar, obviously as United States champion. But I think his run on ECW was one that was very, very underrated, and actually ultimately led to his temporary retirement from professional wrestling, when he stepped away from the business for just about a year. And we're going to get to all that and what ultimately led to his final match in WWE on the ECW brand, at least until 2008. But first, we got to figure out how Big Show even ended up on the newly birthed ECW brand in WWE. And we have talked about ECW and WWE's version of it several times on this show. But what happened here was that right during the dawn of this newly created brand in WWE, they had a special show. It wasn't a pay-per-view, it wasn't a Raw, it wasn't a SmackDown. I remember it aired on a Wednesday in June of 2006, and it was WWE versus ECW. So you had all the guys from Raw and SmackDown joining forces to go head-to-head with ECW talent, and it was almost like the go-home show, although you still had SmackDown that week, before ECW One Night Stand in 2006. So basically what happened here is that Paul Heyman was bringing back ECW, and they got one choice from Raw and one choice from SmackDown to bring over to their roster, which would be a 1-hour show on, I believe it was Tuesdays on Sci-Fi. So Monday Night Raw superstar was the Money in the Bank winner, Rob Van Dam, who would go on to win the ECW championship at the One Night Stand in 2006. And SmackDown's guy was Kurt Angle. Now, Kurt Angle never really enjoyed any time on ECW. He did this show. I don't even know if he did the pay-per-view, to be honest. I would have to go back and look at it. But he quickly quit WWE and went over to the TNA Impact Wrestling. And Kurt Angle was really supposed to be the face of that brand. But at this what I don't even know what to call it, pay-per-view or a special. At this WWE special, WWE versus ECW, you had a WWE versus ECW Battle Royal, which Kurt Angle led his ECW combatants to the ring. It came down to him versus Randy Orton and The Big Show, both Raw superstars. Or at least, so we thought. So Big Show, originally fighting under the Raw brand, rips off his Raw shirt with ECW colors under, eliminates Randy Orton, and not only secures the victory for ECW, but also announces that he is going Extreme. And Big Show would come out on the One Night Stand that week, wreak havoc on the FBI, and right away just become a major player on that brand. And look, Kurt Angle defected right away, so he wasn't really a part of the mix on ECW. But you had the likes of Rob Van Dam taking the WWE Championship and becoming the new ECW champion there. You had Sabu, you had the Sandman, you had Tommy Dreamer. So there wasn't a lot of high-end talent on that roster. There were a lot of guys that were lacking star power. And this became specifically true when Rob Van Dam got busted for a DUI, when he was both WWE champion and ECW champion. The major push that Rob Van Dam got was cut out super early because of real-life criminal charges laid against him. So unfortunately for Rob Van Dam, he got punishment, and I think he was slapped with a 30-day suspension. And he drops the WWE Championship to Edge on Monday Night Raw. And then the next night on ECW, he is forced to defend his ECW Championship against The Big Show.
What the hell did we just witness here? What the hell did we witness? I can't believe what I just saw.
Winner of this match, and new ECW World Heavyweight Champion, The Big Show.
So, less than a month into ECW's new weekly television show, we have Big Show as the ECW champion. And, you know, I think right off the bat, it felt watered down. It didn't feel like ECW anymore because Rob Van Dam and ECW Original almost immediately lost the newly brought back ECW championship and subsequently buried. And obviously we know that was due to real life issues out of the control of many people. But at the same time, it doesn't change the fact that the fans kind of started seeing right through it. And the Big Show as ECW champion. And look, I've always been a fan of the Big Show. Obviously not as a main guy. I think that he kind of fills a niche, kind of like what Braun Strowman does nowadays, as a big man that you can kind of use as a utility guy, babyface, heel, whatever, plug and play with him. And he is a draw because of his sheer size. But, you know, going into the summer of 2006, this was a guy really caught spinning his wheels for a long time. Had been kind of like a vanilla babyface for the most part on Monday Night Raw for a year. Had a good run with Kane as the tag team champions. Honestly, that was one of the best run of Big Show's careers when he was the Raw tag team champions with Kane from October 2005 to April 2006. And before that, had just kind of been like an upper mid-card babyface on SmackDown, in and out of the WWE Championship picture. A good heel run with the US title. But now he was christened as the face of a brand. He was christened the face of ECW, which they were trying to legitimize as on par and on the same level as Raw and SmackDown, while simultaneously trying to keep the integrity of what ECW was and what it was known to be. Now, you had Big Show really trying to, how would you say, legitimize himself as a top guy. So over the next month or so, you would have him have a match for the ECW Championship against Ric Flair, a really bloody contest where him and Ric Flair just really destroyed each other. But then you also have him trying to legitimize himself as a main eventer. And as a main eventer, one of the guys that would step up to him on an ECW show was Batista. As the SmackDown superstar, Batista would come over to ECW to step to the new heel face and champion of the Extreme brand. The only problem is that they started having a legitimate wrestling match, and the crowd just completely turned on this match, chanting the things like same old bleep. I almost actually said it, but same old bleep, same old bleep. Really revolting because, you know, this is supposed to be ECW, and you have the Big Show and Batista, two prototypical, stereotypical Vince McMahon WWE guys, having pretty much an actual wrestling match. So much so that it resulted in a disqualification.
If you use it, it's going to be disqualified. Oh, there it is. Waiting for the referee. Big Show tapped out of frustration, clutch Batista for the ECW World Championship belt. Pretty blatant. Right in the face of the ref. You think Big Show knew he was in trouble? I would assume so. Batista kicked out his elbow. Second, it might have been worse than the first one. Big Show sensing he may have been a cut after Batista kicked out of the choke slam. The Extreme Giant, the Colossal, I should say, jumped over there. It's Sabu! What the hell? Where the hell's
So at this point, you have now Big Show against the kind of ECW original through and through in Sabu. And here's the thing, is that Paul Heyman is trying to be the heel guy, protecting his investment, as Joey Styles says, and, you know, backing the Big Show, who he obviously had a history with on SmackDown when they teamed up together after turning on Brock Lesnar and all that. But you're taking away what Paul Heyman meant, what Paul Heyman did, who Paul Heyman is. You're stripping that all away just to try and make Big Show the face of the brand. And look, I think in a lot of ways, when they originally planned for the Big Show to bring back ECW, do I think that they had the Big Show penciled in as the top guy? Obviously not. I think what happened with Rob Van Dam caused a big stir. I think Kurt Angle quitting on them was a major blow. But you have the Big Show, which is pretty much the antithesis of what ECW meant as underdog extreme guys, as now this big man, traditional wrestler in a lot of ways. It was tough for the ECW originals and the fan base to really accept him. And you really had a clash of both styles when you had Big Show face off against Sabu for the ECW championship in an Extreme Rules match.
Well, now Sabu's got to be careful not to get disqualified. No, we got another referee in here. So... No, wait, Sabu, don't do that. That's the damn ring bell. Referee tells Sabu you can't use the bell. Sabu. Oh! Right in front of the referee. Sabu is just... He's flipped, I guess. Oh, my God. Big Show. Oh, the ECW World Champion Big Show is busted wide open. Oh, my God. No. Sabu is just violently cracking the Big Show with the ring bell. And that ring bell is made of steel. Watch out. Oh, my God. The 500-pound Big Show through the table. Sabu has gone berserk! No doubt about it! Sabu straight up, flat out, snapped! He flipped out! The problem is the first referee was down, Sabu started using the weapons, but we got a second referee, and Sabu reason is not his long suit, self-control and restraint.
So I forgot to say one thing. This was the second of their matches, because Big Show had retained the championship against Sabu at SummerSlam. And then you have this match, which was not Extreme Rules. So Sabu gets 2 cracks at the Big Show, and he can't capture the championship in either match. And this one ends up getting disqualified and busting Big Show's head wide open with the ring bell, and subsequently putting him through a table that was set up on the outside. And just around this time is when the Big Show started getting involved on Monday Night Raw in the McMahon's program with Triple H and Shawn Michaels' D-Generation X. But before he could fully invest in that, he had to tie everything up with Sabu. And that would culminate in an Extreme Rules match, one final time for the ECW Championship against Sabu.
Big Show hits the steel ring post! Sabu, you gotta move quick, buddy! Gotta move quick here, whatever you're doing! Joey Sabu's got something nutty in mind, I'm telling you. Well, nutty is the only thing. Joey Sabu's gotta be in the Big Show. Well, that wasn't nutty, that was just flat out painful. Oh, look at this. Here we go, El Sabu. Oh, no. No way. Oh, no. Oh, my God. The Big Show in midair catches the challenger. Flies Sabu over the table, and they have damn near broken Sabu in half. And now Heyman's sick of the security. His security. Again, Extreme Rules, this is all legal. Oh no. And now Sabu talks right in at the feet of the Big Show. Sabu could hardly even defend himself. Oh no, look at that. Oh, look at this. Showstopper, Big Show on top. 2, 3. Well, like him or not, the issue winner of this match, and still ECW World Champion, The Big Show.
So his feud and culmination against Sabu was one that kind of really put the stamp on Big Show as the undisputed guy on ECW. And like I just mentioned, he was also involved in a program alongside the McMahons against G-Generation X. And, you know, that he was involved in the SummerSlam match against them. And then he was involved at the Unforgiven Hell in a Cell match, the 3-on-2 of the McMahons and the Big Show versus D-Generation X, the match where D-Generation X won and shoved Vince McMahon's face in the Big Show's backside in one of the funnier visuals and matches I guess, during that time. And you slowly have now Big Show racking up a decent reign as WWE or ECW champion, as he goes through July, he goes through August, he goes through September, and then as Survivor Series starts to come, he gets enticed in a rivalry with John Cena, who's the WWE champion over on Monday Night Raw. And this is right around the time when they started getting very loosey-goosey with the brand split rules, is when ECW came in. So you had all these different teams kind of, joining forces and whatnot. And, you had the Big Show's team, which was made up of a lot of SmackDown, Raw, and ECW guys. So you have Team Cena of John Cena, Bobby Lashley, Kane, Rob Van Dam, and Sabu. So ECW, SmackDown, and Raw guys defeat the Big Show's team in 12.5 minutes, which was comprised of obviously the Big Show, MVP, Finlay, Umaga, and Test. So they're really mixing and matching all these brands here. But one of those guys that was named on Team Cena was Bobby Lashley. And he quickly set his sights on the Big Show and the ECW championship. And it all ultimately culminated at a pay-per-view, a one-time only thing, and the last time that Paul Heyman would be in charge of ECW Creative. He would leave after this. And that was December to Dismember, the one and only ECW exclusive pay-per-view in December of 2006. And the main event of this match would be an Extreme Rules Elimination Chamber of the Big Show, Test, Hardcore Holly, Rob Van Dam, Bobby Lashley, and a rookie CM Punk. And obviously the build was made very clear throughout this about Bobby Lashley really being the guy to step to the Elimination Chamber, to the Big Show inside the Elimination Chamber. And they were building Bobby Lashley up heavy, just switching over from SmackDown to ECW, had a nice run with the United States Championship. And now it seemed like it was finally his moment to be christened as a top guy. You have Batista running the show on SmackDown, John Cena running the show on Raw, and there was a massive opportunity here for the Big Show, for Bobby Lashley to get his crack at being one of the main guys in WWE. And I think what happened here is that they saw an opportunity with a guy in the Big Show who wasn't overly popular. And not that he wasn't overly popular, but an opportunity where you may finally have had a chance to dethrone the Big Show and finally give Bobby Lashley maybe the run that he deserved. And that all came to a conclusion inside the Elimination Chamber when it was time for Big Show to come out as the final entrant and face Bobby Lashley one-on-one.
tonight in Augusta, Georgia. Our champion, the ECW champion, Big Show, and the one remaining challenger, Bobby Lashley. Look at this. Big Show is trying to get past the defense of the Steel Champ. Oh, no! Oh my God, this is bad, Joe. Lashley, there's he lost his champ. The back's caught between the chains and the chamber. Is his arm caught up? Oh man, nicely done, Big Show with that champ. Oh, watch out. Oh, yeah. Again. Not once but twice the skill of the ECW World Champion smashed into the unforgiving steel that makes up the Extreme Elimination Chamber. Lashley in complete control over the Big Show here. Oh man, and the Big Show is busted open. Oh my God, he went right to the pod, Joey. He busted the pod open. He was thrown for the pod with the Big Show. Oh, look at Lashley. This is all legal. Lashley just raining down bare knuckles on the lacerated forehead of ECW World Champion. Lashley just busted the pod open with Big Show's body. So watch out! Oh my God! What a build! Ungodly power by the Big Show. Big Show is bleeding and snorting and spitting. Oh my! It could be over, Joey. That huge yell by the Big Show could be the death knell for Bobby Lashley's championship hopes. Lashley might be done. Goldschmidt, chokeslam coming up. No, look at Lashley. Lashley just spiked the Big Show. And the one remaining challenger, ECW champion. Oh, Joey, what the hell's gonna happen here? Big Show. Oh man. Big Show. Oh my God, how strong. Show's gonna use Lashley's move.
And just like that, Bobby Lashley's first crowning moment in WWE, and it's so crazy to see how far he's come. What, 15, 16, 17 years later, still looks the same. Crazy. The guy is in peak physical condition and has been that way going all the way back to his WWE debut. But December to December, Bobby Lashley dethrones a 6-month-long reign of the Big Show as ECW champion and becomes the brand new face of the ECW brand. And, you know, I think it was one that was a long time coming. It was a brutal Extreme Rules Elimination Chamber. Obviously, the ending a little bit anticlimactic, but I think it was a fresh face for ECW. But you heard Paul Heyman on the outside during that, and that would be his last night running ECW Creative, which he's talked about out of character since then. And in a lot of ways, it would be the downfall of ECW as it would slowly go downhill from there on out. And aside from that, like I said from the top of the show, it was the Big Show's last match on WWE television until early 2008. So he took just about 14 months off, returning at No Way Out 2008 to attack Rey Mysterio, and then would subsequently have a match against Floyd Money Mayweather at WrestleMania 24 in 2008. And he came back, I believe, 80 pounds lighter. But obviously, after this, he really, really needed a break. And this would culminate his run as the face and as the champion of ECW. Well, anyway, guys, that's all I got for you today. I hope you enjoyed Big Show's run as ECW champion. As always, you can get me on Twitter at ADemarco25. You can get Matt on Twitter at wrestling_audio. And you can email him each and every week for the WWE podcast mailbag. Anyway, guys, appreciate it. Enjoy your weekend. I will talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening to the WWE podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.